If you have a jar of popcorn, a drink, a cup of coffee, or water, as the case may be, just get a seat and let's dissect these issues because of the importance of the matter tonight, that of national security. There is a big concern coming from the National Security Advisor to the President, Babangana Mongonon, who says there is some interference in the architecture, security architecture in the land by the Chief of Staff of the President. There appears to be an uneasy calm in the presidency regarding the revelation of a spat between the chief of staff to the president, Abba Kyari, and the National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babangana Mongonum. In a leaked memo dated December 2019 and sent to the service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, with the president and the chief of staff, as well as some ministers in copy, the NSA accused the president's chief of staff of usurping the powers of the president and interfering on issues of national security. General Mungono explains that many gains recorded in the effort to secure the nation are being undermined owing to the interventions of Mr. Kyari, who allegedly presides over meetings with service chiefs and heads of security agencies and diplomatic officials in the absence of the NSA. He therefore directed the security chiefs not to take orders from the chief of staff, as he is not the head of the security forces, neither has he was he sworn to an oath to defend the country. Sources in the presidency, however, kept mum over the matter when China's television attempted to get their response. There's been the debate over what has caused the recent spate of attacks around the country. Hold that onto your left hand. Remember when Mrs. Aisha Buhari was really angry and furious about how things are being run and the presidential villa. Hold that on your right hand. Those information, very key. Remember at the point in time, the former Senate President Bukola Saraki said that there is a government in the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. On the front pages of some newspapers in the land today are stories about what may be a crack in the presidency, considering the leaked memo between the NSA to some security heads of security agencies in the country. So what exactly is happening? We try to get insight into what is happening, but sources and officials in the presidency wouldn't talk about it tonight. But let's get a sense of what this means. Does the chief of staff to the president have the power to do some of the things that he's doing or allegedly said to be doing? Who does who do all of these heads of security agencies report to? Can they report to the chief of staff in the absence of the president? A lot of questions on the mind of everyone. Let's get talking on this one tonight. I have joining me from our Abuja studio, Dr. Kach Onanuju is a member of the PDP. Thank you so much for joining us. At some point, we'll get a member of the APC, Mr. Kletus Obun, who will also be joining us at some point on the program. Let's begin the conversation with Dr. Kach Onanuju. Earlier, I spoke with you, and you said that this is not just happening, that this has long been coming. Did you see this coming?
Yes. I told you before, this was inevitable. Because when we saw President Buhari, who is infirmed, he does not have the capacity to biologically function fully as a president, we warned that this will happen. The fact that the security crisis escalated and we kept saying that President Buhari is not in charge, which led in the Senate to Senator Baribe asking that he should resign now that it has become openly visible that he's not in charge. So what you're beginning to see is pressures from Borno State, where General Mungunu is from, is now forcing General Mungunu to say, look, I am supposed to be at the head of the security chiefs and to give them instructions from the presidency. I am not doing this work. For a very long time, my responsibility has been hijacked. And this is why Governor Zulum is crying the way he is crying, and there is security breakdown all over the country. What you're seeing simply is General Mungonu saying, the crisis you're seeing all over Nigeria is as a consequence of people unelected without that delegation to exercise such power that never swore to oath to defend Nigeria are now in charge of directing security. That's why you're seeing the people who are caught that killed our soldiers, that have landed our women widows in very young age, are sent back into the field, and then you hear that in Delta State, those are the people killing people in villages. So we have a total breakdown of security. We've been complaining about this. We are now beginning to see from inside the presidential villa some of the reasons why those breakdowns in security have sustained, while you hear the vice president tell us, pray for them. And when you hear the president said, don't attack those who attack you. And now this is now becoming very, very clear.
Let's break it down. Let's be a bit analytical. Dr. Ononuju, apologies. Let's be a bit analytical. World over, where we have this system of government, for example, in the United States or even in Nigeria, you cannot underestimate the powers of a chief of staff. In time of bureaucracy, we know who a chief of staff is. A chief of staff is in charge of the president's daily schedule, is in charge of outlining and working on the president's itinerary, is in charge of operating and controlling the president's office in some way. Are you saying that, based on the allegation in that memo as leaked, that the chief of staff is doing what is out of his prerogative or outside of the duty of his office? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. The chief of staff does not have any military experience. When it comes in any country across the world, when it gets to issues of security, people with security experience are the ones appointed to manage such offices. In the United States, it's people with such experiences of security. So you connote in issues of war, you expect a civilian who does not have any experience to be the one that provides guidance to the chief of army staff, the inspector general of police, the chief of naval staff, all the service chiefs. No, you bring somebody with a military experience. In this case, General Mungonu. General Mungonu is different from Abba Kyari. Abba Kyari's experience.
Dr. Ononuju, are you saying there is no possibility? Dr. Ononuju, are you saying there is no possibility that Mr. Kyari may not be acting on behalf of the president? Because it is not all the time that Mr. Kyari, the president will be available. Is it possible that the president has delegated Mr. Kyari to act on his behalf in some of what the NSA has alleged?
If you look at Mr. General Mungonu's memo, what memo simply says is, whatever it is that has to do with security, it goes through me. It goes through my office. What you're seeing now is Mungonu being sidetracked, and Abba Kyari deals directly. Just look at the memo and you understand the particulars of the complaint. It says that the man appointed as a national security advisor does no more make inputs in regards to national security. He is bypassed, and Mr. Abba Kyari seizes control to now re-administer and do those things that he is not, by his explanations of his office, actually expected to do. That's why you see, it's like doing the issue of central bank, and then suddenly Mr. Abba Kyari, with no banking experience, starts administering the duties of the central bank governor.
Let's take a breather.
There are shared responsibilities.
Yeah, let's take a breather, and we'll get some other views after the break. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll dissect these issues more. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get back to the conversation. It's a critical matter tonight about national security in the land. Unfortunately, we understand that Mr. Kletu Zobu may not be able to join us, but we have Prince Sule Sami. He joins us from the UK via Skype. Thank you so much, Mr. Sami, for joining us tonight. Dr. Kach Ononuju is in our Abuja studio. He's a member and the chieftain of the PDP. Thank you so much, Doc, for coming on tonight. Let me quickly go to Prince Sani. There are fears that perhaps what some people fear as the worst is happening in the presidency. When we see perhaps some close friends, at some point, there were pictures of the head of service at some point and the chief of staff having some unfriendly banters within the villa, the presidential villa, before a FEC meeting. And you see some instances when Mrs. Aisha Buhari came up and was angry about what is happening in the villa. The former Senate president did say that there are cabals in a government. When this is happening again, are you concerned that the center perhaps is not holding as far as the presidential villa is concerned?
No, I'm not concerned at all. But I'm just going to tell you this. There is no government that functions very well anywhere in the world without having loyalists around them. Loyalists are people caught in the cabinet or close to government that give honest opinion on the governance of the state anywhere around the world. No anything such cabal. And I can tell you that the stability we have in the presidency is attributed very well with the exceptional administrative efficiency and knowledge and background of Mr. Abakari. The chief of staff to the president has 100% loyalty to the president. So the employee of government, be it appointed, nominated, must exercise exceptional loyalty, because if you are loyal to chief of staff, you are loyal to the president. We have to understand that. Abakari didn't appoint himself, arrogate himself as chief of staff. He is the chief of staff to the president. He does the president's job. In the event that there are issues between people that work in the villa, for people to misinterpret it as something that's totally a different issue. But for the issue of Abakari's role as chief of staff, there is no question that anyone in government of President Muhammadu Buhari, need to exercise that loyalty to the chief of staff. He didn't arrogate himself
but Mr. Sule, apologies. Are you saying, because if you look at the concern of the NSA, are you saying that Mr. Abakari is doing exactly what the Constitution provides him to do? Because you may not be able to find the chief of staff in the Constitution.
But it depends on what you are saying Abakari is doing. Are you speculating?
This is not a speculation. This is in a leaked memo that has now become a public knowledge that Mr. Abakari is spearheading security meetings that perhaps is outside.
Let me say this. President Muhammadu Buhari is a retired general in the army. He has exceptional background and experience of the military. The Security Council of Government has been there since the inception of this government. There are issues about loyalty or exercise of powers in people at the Security Council, something we should have heard several years ago. So I don't agree in any way that Abakari is usurping powers of any other person. But I can tell you that he runs administrative activity when there is a meeting of president with service chiefs or any other Security Council. It's his job.
Mr. Sule, just a moment. Could the wife of the president be wrong? Could the NSA be wrong? Could the former Senate president be wrong? And those people who believe that the president, their fears that the president may not directly be in charge, are those fears not affirmed by some of those who are close, who are now fighting the system?
You see, Share won't get something right. Don't put words into people's mouth. I cannot remember the First Lady making such statements. I can also not remember any other person within the government that I know saying that the president is not in charge. That's untrue.
So when they say that the cabal has taken... No, these are not my words. I'm asking you a question. And I'm asking for those who fear that the cabals have taken over in the villa. Are you saying they may be wrong?
See,
these are people who are close to the villa.
There is no government anywhere that you don't have loyalists around it. You decide to call it cabal, that's your word. But people around any government that are loyal to the government, that are rendering advisory services to government, you cannot, if you decide to arrogate them as cabal, that's a different thing. But I can tell you this, that Muhammadu Buhari did not make a mistake to make such a recommendation of intelligent person like Abakari to be his chief of staff. He knows him more
just
than
a moment,
you and I.
Mr. Sule, just a moment. I'll come back to you in a moment. Let me go to Abuja. You heard Mr. Sule there, who appears to know a lot about the ongoings and the internal workings of the presidency. And he said, look, everything is just fine. Your reaction, Dr. Onanuju?
Well, you are a Nigerian. Me and you're talking to somebody in London. We are all in Nigeria. And we know here in Nigeria, things are not fine. Everything has broken down. And we've been crying that President Buhari, you are not in charge. Resign. And some of them came to say we should not talk that. Now, from inside the presidency, we are now seeing through memos directing the service chiefs to do what is right. Discuss with me who has security background in issues of security. Talk to me who has security background, who has been appointed as National Security Advisor in issues of security. Don't bypass my office and then start talking to somebody who does not have the security background. There is a reason why Ms. General Mungunu was appointed National Security Advisor. There is a reason why hospitals have specialist doctors for different kinds of ailments. You would not now keep those doctors,
Dr. Onanuju, just a moment. I need to get this in just one breath, in just a sentence. Would it be fair for you to say that the president is not in charge just because the NSA is angry about something? Would that be fair to say the president is not in charge?
No. We didn't say that. We said President Buhari is not in charge because President Buhari confessed to the public that he does not know that Boko Haram are still killing Nigerians. That he thought Boko Haram had ended based on what he was told some years ago. That he does not know that the IG of police that he sent to go to Benue State did not go. That this is a lot of things have happened, which we saw, and we said President Buhari is not in charge.
Dr. Onanuju, we're out of time. Let's allow Mr. Issa's final word on the program. Mr. Issa, give us your final thought on the program. A lot of fears are, for someone like Dr. Onanuju, who says, look, from what the president even says, and those who are feared that what is happening within the president, the cabal is taking over, especially in the case, in an issue of national security, that Mr. Abakari may be doing out of his office. Your final thought.
Hello? Hello, sir, you can hear me?
Absolutely. Go ahead, please.
First and foremost, I would like to take the opinion, very open opinion about this issue. When someone is criticizing the government about not doing something that he presumed they should have done, you can clearly understand where his position are on this issue. But I can tell you this, Mr. President of this country is fully in charge. Abakari is the chief of staff, a high-ranking administrator in the government. Every appointee, I repeat, every appointee of government definitely should be loyal to the president as well. So, and
we have to leave it at that because we are obviously out of time, Mr. Issa. Thank you so much for talking to us. APC chief in there for us from London. Thank you so much. And Dr. Onanuju, a member of the PDP. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. But that's how far we can go in on this conversation. But it does not end here. Let's reconnect via Twitter and other social media platforms, and let's get the conversation continued there. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. You've been served tonight's dish on Politics Today. Bye for now, everyone.